Some people give more than anyone else.
Thank you, dear.
They listen when others need to talk.
My
They
day has
help
been
when
like
others are
this for so
struggling.
long. Thank you for
They
listening. It means
remember the
everything to
small
me.
things that matter. They are the ones who check on everyone, the ones who try to keep peace in a room,
I
the
picked
ones who make
this.
sure no one feels left out.
Thank you. It's so
And from
pretty.
the
I'm so
outside,
glad you like
it
it.
often looks like they are surrounded by people, friends, family, conversations, connections. But here's the strange part. Many of the kindest people you will ever meet quietly feel the most alone. Not because they have no one around them, but because the role they play in everyone else's life slowly becomes the place where their own feelings disappear. Think about someone like this. Maybe it's someone you know, or maybe it's you, the person everyone goes to when they need advice, the one people text when their life feels overwhelming, the one who listens without judging. You have probably noticed something about them. They rarely talk about their own problems, not because they don't have any, but because they've learned something subtle over time. When you become the strong one, people stop asking if you're okay. It usually starts in small ways. You help someone through a breakup. You stay on the phone with a friend who feels lost. You listen to someone explain their stress at work. You offer comfort, advice, understanding, and it feels natural to you. Because kind people often have something powerful inside them. They feel deeply, they notice emotions others miss, they understand pain because they've experienced it themselves. So helping others doesn't feel like a burden, it feels like purpose, but slowly something begins to change. People start seeing you in a certain way. You become the listener, the problem solver, the calm voice in chaos. And once people begin to see you that way, they rarely question it. They assume you're strong. They assume you're fine. They assume you don't need the same care you give to everyone else. Pause for a moment. Think about the last time someone truly asked how you were feeling. Not casually, not as a quick greeting, but genuinely, with curiosity, with patience, with the willingness to actually listen. For many kind people, that moment is rare. Here's something most people don't realize. Kindness often grows from empathy, and empathy comes from awareness. People who are deeply aware of other people's emotions tend to notice things others overlook. The shift in someone's tone, the sadness behind a forced smile, the tension in a room that nobody else seems to feel. And because they notice these things, they respond, they help, they comfort, they show up. But the more someone becomes aware of everyone else's emotions, the easier it becomes to hide their own. It's not always intentional. Sometimes it happens quietly. Someone asks how you're doing, you say you're fine, even when you're not, because their problems feel heavier in that moment, because you don't want to add more stress to someone else's life, because you're used to being the stable one. And eventually that habit becomes part of your identity. People start coming to you for guidance. They trust your perspective. They rely on your emotional strength. And that trust can feel meaningful, but it can also feel isolating because when you're the one holding space for everyone else, there's rarely someone holding space for you. Kind people also tend to do something else that few people talk about. They think about others constantly. They worry about whether someone else is okay. They replay conversations to make sure they didn't hurt someone. They adjust their words to avoid causing pain. They try to understand everyone's point of view. And that kind of emotional awareness takes energy, a lot of it. Imagine being in a room where you can feel everyone's mood. Someone is stressed. Someone is insecure. Someone is pretending to be happy. Someone is trying not to show they're hurting. And while others may not notice these signals, the kind person does. They absorb it, they carry it, even if no one asks them to. Over time, that emotional weight can create a quiet loneliness. Not the kind where you have no people around you, but the kind where no one fully sees you. You become the one who understands everyone else, but very few people understand you. Here's the paradox. Kind people often attract many relationships. People trust them, people feel safe around them, people open up to them, but feeling needed is not the same as feeling known. And sometimes the kindest people are surrounded by conversations, while still feeling like no one truly understands their inner world. Pause again for a moment. Think about the person everyone goes to for support, the one who always seems calm, the one who gives thoughtful advice, the one who listens more than they speak. Have you ever wondered who they go to when they need the same support? Here's the deeper truth. Many kind people don't talk about their struggles because they don't want to burden others. But there is another reason. They've become so good at being the listener that speaking about their own feelings feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, like stepping outside of a role they've played for years. But something interesting begins to happen when people become aware of this pattern. They start realizing that kindness should not mean invisibility. Caring about others does not mean ignoring yourself. And being strong for people does not mean you must carry everything alone. Kindness is powerful, but kindness without boundaries slowly turns into exhaustion. The kindest people often learn this lesson slowly, sometimes after years of giving, years of supporting, years of being the one everyone relies on. And when they finally learn it, something changes. They don't become less kind, they become more honest. They start sharing their feelings instead of hiding them. They allow others to see their struggles. They stop pretending they are always okay. And something surprising happens. The right people don't see this as weakness, they see it as trust. Because real connection doesn't happen when one person is always the helper and the other is always the one being helped. Real connection happens when both people are allowed to be human. So if you are someone who often feels like the emotional support for everyone else, remember this. Your kindness is not a flaw. Your empathy is not something you need to hide. The world needs people who care deeply, but you deserve the same care you give to others. You deserve people who ask how you're doing and actually wait for the answer. You deserve friendships where you don't have to carry everything quietly. And the strange truth is this: the kindest people often feel the most alone. Not because they are invisible, but because they have spent so much time making sure no one else feels alone, that they forgot they deserved the same comfort too.